Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about the chat and comments function. So the idea here is to show you the basics of using Jestor for internal communications. So chat and comments, the main difference is chat will work just like a channel or a DM that you have with your team, a group with other people. We're using like a topic or maybe HR team or discussion about a specific problem that you may have and so on. And comments, they are basically chats inside your card or your record. So you have a project, you want to discuss something about that project, you can discuss it inside the project instead of a random channel that you need to reference it again and again. If you discuss this inside of a project, we will know and have all the context about that project. You can change its variables, you can add tasks and so on. So you can do way more. And as always, you could use Gesture to replace your Slack, Teams, or Discord, whatever kind of tool that you may hire to run your internal communications. And please do not use something like WhatsApp or SMS. It's usually not the best idea in the world to mix your personal use with your company communications as well. So we are going to show you here all the features, the basic features at least of the chat, and why our chat is a little bit different, and where is the power of consolidating everything in one tool. Is the idea that you can integrate and have the information on different angles. So you can see your information from a record, from a dashboard. You can also see all the information from a chat and from the chat to the dashboard and so on. So, Cruz, where should we start here to show the basic functions of chat or comments? I don't know if you prefer to start with one or another.
Yeah, I think I'll just start by explaining conceptually how the chat function works in Jester. So basically, I'm going to explain what is everything that's encompassed by the chat feature, and then I'm going to show the specific examples, right? So basically, just the chat feature in Jester works on three different levels. So you have direct messages. So if I'm in my account and Bruno is in my account, I can send him direct messages, DMs, so we can discuss things privately. You have a second level, which is channels. So you can have public channels and private channels that you have to invite people to see the channel. And then you have the third level, which are the comments that Bruno said, which basically is the chat within a specific record in Jasper, right? So if you have a project, if you have an opportunity in the CRM, if you have a someone applying for a job opening and you have their record, you can comment on that card, and that is the third level of the chat feature, right? So basically, I'm going to go through all of them, and I'm going to share my screen right now so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay, perfect. So right now I'm just in a template, right? I'm in a projects template. So here's the project Kanban board. I have a dashboard here. I have a Gantt chart and so on. Okay, so these are the cards, right, of the projects. So if I open a project, I can see the information on the card, right? But you can see that in this template, we have a chat icon on the cards of the projects themselves. And this is basically just a mirror of what's inside the card, right? So let's open the card, and you can see that here in this panel, we have the chat feature, right? So basically, when we say comments and chat in Jasper, we're talking about roughly the same thing. The difference here is that when we talk about comments, it's just the chat of that specific record, right? So when you're commenting on a record, you're using the chat feature pointing to that record. It's going to become more apparent as soon as I enter the chat functionality itself. But right now you can see that it kind of works like you would expect. Like in other tools, usually you have the comment section of a card, of a record, right? So this is going to work similarly, right? So I have the chat here, I have the comments part, and I can just comment something. So for example, I'm working on this one. So I can just send a comment here, and you can see that this is basically just a comment section of the card, right? So this is the first level of the chat, the comments inside the cards themselves, right? I'm going to later on explain all of the features of the chat and the comments because they are going to work regardless of which part of the chat you're using, right? But right now, all I want to do is uh, make it a little bit clearer what's the difference between each part, right? So this is the comment part. This is the first level, okay? So if we go here to the upper left corner, you're going to see that we have a chat icon here. So this is going to bring me to the centralized feature of the chat, right? So everything that you comment on cards, everything that you're tagged on, if you receive direct messages, everything is going to be centralized here, okay? So basically, let's see here. You can see that these are the three levels that I've talked about. I have direct messages, I have channels, and I have the records on the tables or on the apps themselves, okay? So basically, let's start with the direct messages. So here there's another user in my account and I can send them a message. So let's see. Hi.
I just updated it to have like a different name. So
Let's see here. I'm going to update, refresh. Yeah, there you go. So hi, uh, John. Um, could you help me with a opportunity? And I can just send John messages. And then John is going to receive a notification that I sent him a message, and he can reply back to me, and we can keep this conversation going within here. Okay, so you can see that John basically sent a audio message. We are going to delve a little bit further into the features a little bit later. This is basically just like they can send me an audio message here. Okay, so we have direct messages and then we also have channels, right? So you can see that I have HR, finance, marketing, product, and so on. So I can actually create a new channel here. I'm going to click here on build, right? And you see that when I'm in creation mode, I can create new channels. So I'm going to click here on new channel and I have all HR, finance, marketing, product, and so on. So I can have, for example, a channel for customer support. So customer support agents can talk about various cases and ask for support and anything like that. And I can set this channel to private or make it a public app. Basically, I'm going to keep it private and I'm going to add John here. So I've created this customer support channel. I can edit it if I need it. Okay, so if I click here on edit, I can change the color, for example, add other users and so on. So for this one, I'm going to leave it with this color here and save, and it's going to change here. So this is a little bit easier to find things, right? Okay, so this is going to work like a group, like a channel. So if you're already familiar with other communication tools, you're probably already familiar with the concept of channels. But channels are basically groups where you can communicate with other people. So if you need a group chat, this is the place to go. So I can send a message here. So, hey, John, have you ever talked to customer X? and then I can start a conversation going here. The difference here is that this is not a direct message. If there were more people in this channel, they would be able to respond, they would be able to see the conversation and keep the conversation going. Okay, so we have the direct messaging, we have the channels, and then we have, like we said before, we have also the comments in the cards records themselves. So I don't have any new messages here, but I had some other here. So for example, I can go here to top 3 destinations in the US. I had already made a comment here, so I can click here and see the record itself. For example, there you go.
This is really
uh,
useful. Like I use it a lot, like to have the information on the side of the chat because everything consolidates here. And if you want to know more about that, you just click there. And then you can have access to the form, to tasks, to the history, to anything that you may need, including connected information.
Exactly. So you can see here that I can always see from which table up here this process, this conversation is taking place, right? So if I click here on consulting services, I can see that this comes from the opportunities S&B table. And if I click here, I can go to the table and see the process itself, right? So this is really useful because I can always see from where the conversation is coming, right? So why is this so important? Because you may use some kind of communication tool, for example, Slack or Microsoft Teams, or maybe you're using like exclusively BTC communication tools. So, like Bruno said, maybe you're using WhatsApp or Telegram. This is not a good practice for a company to do, but we know that some companies do that. But the reason why that's bad is because you never have the context of the conversation, and you always have all the conversation taking place in the same thread of information, right? So if you have a WhatsApp group, for example, for finance, that's kind of like having a finance channel. Okay, perfect. But you never have like a part here where you can talk about a specific customer or a specific opportunity or a specific project. So that conversation becomes lost, right? So if you have to find information, you have to use the search feature, but sometimes you don't know what you typed, so you lose that message. You can never find it. So the idea here is that by having those tiers of conversations, you can group the information more effectively, right? Because I can always go to the project board and open the specific project that I have and see the information here. Or if I go to the channel, I go to the specific record, to the specific channel, and I can see the conversation taking place. So the idea here is that you are going to organize your conversations within the company way more efficiently if everything is in the same place, right? If your projects are in the same place as the conversation, if your opportunities are in the same place as the conversations, if your requests and approvals processes are in the same places that you are conversating, right? So that's the general idea. Those are the three kind of like tiers of the levels of conversation you can have here on Jestor, right? So you can see that this chat function here, it always centralizes all of the conversations taking place regardless of tier. And I also have some filters here. I can look at only channels or only comments within cards, only emails, because the email feature of Jestor, in which you can talk to a customer or a vendor from a specific card, is also going to feed into this chat feature as well, and so on. So you can have a filter for DMs and so on. So this is how the chat feature functions conceptually, right? So now that we know where the conversations take place and what are the levels, the hierarchy, and where you can see the conversation taking place, let's talk about the feature itself of the chat, right? Because these features are going to be accessible regardless if you're talking on a channel or in a record and so on. Okay, first of all, You can see that conceptually this is going to look a lot like other communications tools that you've used before. So I can send a message, I can type add to see all the users that I can tag in that conversation. So for example, I'm in a channel, so I can tag users that have access to that channel, or I can use here to send a notification to all the users. Basically, it's tagging all of them at the same time. So I can do like here, I really need help with this one. So you can tag people, you can send messages, and so on. And right down here, you can see that you also have some formatting features, right? So, for example, meeting notes, I can start by adding a comment here, and then I can make this a header so it's a little bit larger. Conversation took place on 25th, 25, and so on. So I can have like, I can make this bold, I can make this in italics, I can make this strike through, and I can also have, for example, bullet points. So point one, point two, point three, and so on. So I can send this message. I could also have a quote. So there you go. And basically, you can format the messages that you are going to send. And this is in the chat part, in the channels, in the direct messages, and also on the records. We're going to keep reminding people of this, but the comments in the cards are part of the chat feature. That's why it's called chat up here, because it has all of the features that you're going to find in the chat part. So, for example, custom projects goals, and then I can have points here, 2 goal 3, and so on. So you can see that I can basically use all of the same features here in the comments section of the card as here in the chat. Okay, and you can see that Bruno basically replied to me here. So we can keep this conversation going and so on. Cool. So we talked about formatting, right? You can also have emojis and send attachments here. I can send files, I can send pictures, and so on. So let's talk a little bit more about some more advanced and in-depth features of the chat itself. Cool. So now that I have a reply, I can hover my cursor over the conversation, the message here, and I can react to it. For example, I'm very happy that someone has finally replied to my messages. So I can just click here, and I'm going to send this reaction here. So this is very useful. You can even kind of have like votes in a specific message. You can use this kind of like a poll, but I don't have to explain what reactions are. I think most of you are familiar with it. Okay, cool. So you can add more than one reaction. Okay, so if I click on this plus icon, I have the quick reactions, which are these ones that are basically the most used reactions, right? But if I wanted a different emoji, I could go here and search for one and add more reactions to it. And if you look here at the right part, you can see that I can create a thread to a specific message, right? So now that I have a response here, I can talk within this conversation so things are more organized, right? So I can click here on create a thread. So basically what I'm going to do here is talk within this message, right? Thank you. There you go. Do you have a summary of previous conversations? And I can send the messages here, right? So you can basically see that as I'm talking here in this part of the record, it's showing me that I have a reply here, two replies, which are basically my replies over here. So if I close this, I can see if I look here that I have there are two replies within this conversation within this thread, right? So this is cool, especially in channels, because you don't want people to sending message uh, over message over message over message, because this is a quick way for things to become messy and for you not to be able to find anything that you want to find later. So here, basically, John started a conversation here, and I can just click on here and see the conversation going. And one thing that we have here that you are not going to find usually in other communication tools is that in Jestor, you can start threads within threads within threads, right? So you can see here that I started a thread within this conversation. I sent two messages, and then John thought it would be better, it would be more organized if he sent a message within this message of mine here. So he opens a new thread here, and then you can keep going, right? So the idea here is that even if you have like a message that spawns a thread, that also can become disorganized. So you can use a thread within a thread to keep things more in place, right?
Also, every time that you tag me in a message, I also receive an email. If I want, I can keep receiving this kind of emails, or I can just disable these and only receive the gesture notifications.
Exactly. Yeah, you can activate or deactivate notifications in some manners, right? So one, which is very obvious, is that if you have the Gesture app installed, you're going to get pop-up notifications when people tag you in conversations. But one other type of notification that you can activate or deactivate is receiving emails. So if someone tags you in a conversation, you may get an email saying that someone tagged you in a specific project, in a specific opportunity, and so on. So cool. You can see here that we have all of these features, right? So we can open threads and send things and so on. You can also, for example, I'm just going to take a picture of the conversation itself here. So I can basically uh, send an image here. Let me, or a file. So for example, I'm just going to send a picture here. It works by copying and pasting, or you can just click here on attachments. I could send more than one. So this is a pretty like comprehensive communication tool. It's going to work very intuitively. So basically, the idea here is just to keep everything organized, right? Cool. So one other thing that I'd like to show here is that I can send, for example, messages here, audio messages. I can use the mic here to send a message, and this is going to send the audio, and this is also going to create an AI transcription of the audio. So for example, I'm going to click here. Yep, sorry. Thanks for your support. And then I'm going to send this message. So maybe I'm on the go. I'm not in my laptop. I'm not in my computer. I'm just using the app in my smartphone, for example, and I can just send a message. And this is also going to send a transcription. Okay. So the idea here is that maybe you're in a hurry and you have to send things. But we know that a lot of people don't like to keep listening to audios. You can, of course, fast forward it, but maybe you just want to send an audio because you're out of time, and all the other people in your team, they have access to the audio, but you're also going to get a transcript. If it's a reasonably sized message, it's going to transcribe it fully. If it's a very long audio, it may do some sort of summaries of the most important information. Okay. Cool. So some other things that are important, that are pretty useful. Okay. So one thing here is that if I hover over a conversation, and that conversation may be a channel, it may be a direct message, or a comment in a card, in a record, you're going to see that this little flag here appears, and this is a bookmark. right? So maybe there's something very important that someone sent me in this consulting services card. What I can do here is that I can bookmark it and it's going to be placed up here. So if I go over to other parts of the platform, it's still bookmarked here, and I can remind myself later that I have something important to do here. This is useful
Yeah,
because
sometimes we use it like a to-do list almost because someone tagged you in a record or you are doing something on a record and you want to do this later, you can just go open the record and use the bookmark inside the record. It's going to appear here and you can centralize kind of all your tasks here inside this panel.
exactly. So this is pretty useful because if someone tags you in a conversation, for example, you can see that as soon as someone tagged me here and I see the conversation, it goes to red, right? So you may lose this conversation, so you can just bookmark it, and then later on you can see this. And like Bruno said, you can basically use this as a to-do list, as kind of like a mini task functionality. So you bookmark everything that's important that you have to check later, and then later on you can just have quick access to it. Or maybe you just talk to John a lot, so he's your peer in your team, and you want to have quick access to messages to John, so you can just bookmark John as well, and everything that you bookmark is going to appear up here. One thing that I would like to show, so Bruno, if you could send me a message or tag me in a card and so on. So you guys can see here that I have no messages because here in this icon, there's no sort of indicator. So basically, this indicates that I have read all of the messages. There's no pending message in channels, in records, DMs, and so on. So Bruno is going to send me a message somewhere. I think you have to tag me. So as soon as you do it, I should receive a indication here. Okay. Before that, you can see that
Do
here
you want me to tag you on any place or the project board itself?
it can be in any place. But if you can go to the project board and tag me
Oh,
here
fine.
in one record, it would be cool to show one other feature as well. Cool. So while Bruno is doing that, you can see that we have the chat feature here, right? But also we have the notifications part, the updates part, and they are somehow connected because here you get all of the notifications in the platform, right? So if you install a template, if an automation that has a notification has run, for example, if you downloaded a report and so on. But you can see here that when Bruno tagged me in a record before, I can click here and it's going to pull the record. So this is pretty useful. I use this all the time because sometimes I read messages. I dismiss notifications in my smartphone, and I don't remember where the notification came from. So you kind of have this history of times when people tagged you. Okay, I can see that Bruno has already tagged me in another conversation, but this is not the place where I want to see the conversation. What I wanted to show you guys is that now the chat feature, the chat icon, has this little orange dot, right? So this is an indication that I have a new message. I can go here and I can see that I have a new message on this card, right? And basically, Bruno tagged me here asking for help. I've now that I've read this message, I don't have the indication of new messages anymore. And if I go back to home and if I come here, there are no new messages. It went to red. Okay. One other thing that I wanted to show you guys is that if I go to the project board and Bruno tagged me in one, which I forgot which one it was. Let me see here. Right blog post, I think. So let me refresh my screen.
Yes.
Yeah, like I said, you can um, see from the cover of the cards in the Kanban boards the amount of messages that are going on inside the cards, right? So he tagged me here, and I can see that a message was sent because I have this little one here. And one cool thing is that up top here, you can see that I have one mention, right? So I can see the amount of times that I've been mentioned in this conversation. And I can also bookmark this conversation from within the card. I don't have to go to the chat feature. I can bookmark this from within the card itself. And if I go back to the message part, the chat part, it's up here. Okay. So I can remove the bookmark for now. Okay. I think that's mainly it. I don't know if I'm forgetting anything. Like I said, the email feature of Jestor is also going to appear here. So if you're using Jestor as a support platform for emails, for example, so when people send an email to your support@yourcompany.com and opens support tickets inside Jestor, the conversations are also going to appear here, so you can talk with customers, with vendors, with other people from within here by email. But I think that's mainly the idea here is just to show you guys that we have this centralized communication feature. Okay, so we have a lot of clients that substitute other communication platforms, right? Because one of the things that we do that are going to aggregate a lot of value is this organization, right? You can talk with your employees, with your team members within projects, and all of this conversation is going to be organized. And one huge advantage of that is that if you're using Jestor to manage projects, to manage opportunities, to manage support tickets, to manage like job openings, you basically get a communication tool for free, right? Because you're already using the platform and you don't have to use a separate communication tool, pay for a separate communication tool, because you can have all of these conversations from within the platform. Bruno, is there any other part that you think that I forgot to mention, that I forgot to show here?
No, I think that's a good overview of the feature. Like it's a really simple feature. It's a chat. However, it's really powerful because it integrates everything in one place. So you can access it both ways. You can access your record from the chat and the chat from the record. Sometimes people get confused and say like, "Where are the comments?" I need comments. But the comments in the chat is the same thing. If you open the record, you're going to see that you have the comments there. Also, another comment that we may have that we have sometimes is, Bruno, I don't like dark mode. Don't worry, we will also have a light mode soon. So for chatting, for everything else, you'll also be able to use the dark or light mode as you wish. Um, and yeah, another thing that's really important just to highlight again is it works really well on your cell phone. So if you're on the way, someone sends a message, you want to check something, not only you can reply to the message, but check the information from a specific record, a project, a client. So if a client is asking, I don't know, um, what's the value for the item 13 of the proposal? You can go open the card, check the value, reply to the client, all using your phone. So it's straightforward, simple, but really powerful. And if you want to know more about Jestor, if you want to use Jestor in your company, or if you just want to try it out, play with the AI agent, create an account, it's free, and follow this channel to know everything that we are building here. If you have any questions, leave any comments. And we are going to be live tomorrow again. So if you want to see us building a tool from scratch, just go to our channel and we'll be live, I believe, tomorrow at the same time. So if you need something, just ask. If you want to test yourself, just create an account. It takes less than a minute. You guys.